What is theta? Time slipping away. A rose wilts, a cow grows old. Theta never stops. But theta isn't mysterious, it's just the price of time. Every option you buy or write has an expiration date. From the moment you buy it, time starts working on it. You can think of a short-term option like a birthday candle. It burns bright, it burns fast, it provides excitement, and it's over pretty quick. You can think of a long-term option like this brass candle. The option seller, sometimes also called theta farmers, I've got Farmer John here as a visual metaphor, want slow and they want steady. Every calm day that passes is a victory for them. The option buyer wants drama. They want something to happen, either a crash or a skyrocket to the moon, anything exciting before their time runs out. A short-term option needs to do whatever it's going to do, and it needs to do it quickly. For a long-term option, things happen much more slowly. Options are always in blocks of 100. So 0.1, which is 10 cents times 100 shares, means you're actually losing $10 a day. You can kind of think about this like the rent. If you buy an option, you're paying rent to hold on to the shares, and you're hoping that in the time that you're holding them, some movement happens. The more, the better. If you're writing an option, then you're like the landlord. That theta of 0.1 is $10 a day you're collecting as long as someone else has the rights to control your shares. Generally speaking, if you buy an option, the most you can lose is what you spent on the option. But sometimes options get exercised, and depending on what happens, that actually can be a little bit of a disaster. And we'll talk about what happens when options actually do expire in a later video. Time passes at a steady rate, and theta is lost at a steady rate. Delta, on the other hand, is about the movement of the underlying stock price. So while time is predictable, the price of the underlying stock is not. As expiration of an option gets closer, the burning tends to speed up. And if you look at that on a graph, you'll actually see that it does form a curve. If there's 300 days left, then in one day it loses 1/300th of the value. If there's 3 days left, then in one day it loses 1/3 of the value. Generally speaking, writing options is considered the safer move. Buying options is considered more like gambling and more reckless. So if you're writing options, you can kind of think about yourself like the casino. And if you're buying options, you can kind of think about yourself like the gambler. If your expectation is dramatic movement and your value is you want to go big or go home and potentially lose or win a lot of money, buying options with a short expiration date is the way to go. If your stance is that you want to have slow collection of value and have something that's more predictable and more safe, writing options is probably the way to go. There's one other caveat to that. Writing options requires a much larger capital, whereas buying options generally can be done for pretty inexpensive entry price. There are things called diagonals and synthetic covered calls, and in fact, a lot of the big players with very large amounts of capital will still use these techniques because it allows them to have more exposure for less money. Hopefully all of that has given you a good understanding of theta.